Greetings guys, the posting guy here again, back with a part 2 video on the Gigabyte G27QC, which of course is a 2K curved monitor with a 165 Hz refresh rate and 1 millisecond response, as well as featuring FreeSync Premium. This is a video just answering some of the questions I had in the comments in my last video. I appreciate the popularity on it, and I just want to respond to that in a video of itself just to enhance the information that you have on this product. One thing I forgot to mention that I actually found was critical whenever I had my two monitor setup going was that this has a matte screen. And what that means, it handles reflections and backlight really well. It cancels it all out. I'll try and show up a little blurb here, but with my other monitor, it was an IPS screen, but it's not a matte. And so it's actually insanely reflective when the sun is behind me during the morning, whereas the Gigabyte 2K matte screen isn't. And that's a huge perk, especially whenever you're gaming and whatnot, or trying to watch a movie and you're not seeing the reflection of yourself or the reflection of your environment. Huge perk that I totally forgot to mention, but is worth mentioning now. Another question somebody had was about the curvature. I mentioned that it was a 1500R curve, and they weren't sure how extreme it was. And it is very light. It's actually one of the lighter curves you can get. If you get 1000, that's actually more intense. So the lower the number, I believe, the more intense the curve is. And so this curvature, it's pretty light. It's still curved. You can still tell if you stand next to it, and I'll try and show you here, that it's a curve. Like you can see from your point of view that coming here, the screen is curving inwards at an angle. And so it's not dramatic though. Like if you're watching it from the side, yeah, that's a curved screen. But when you're sitting in front of it, and it's what I mentioned in my last video, was that it gives you a lot more of an immersive feeling. And that's what I loved about the curve compared to flat screen when I was ordering different monitors and touching them out. But all that to say is that the 1500R curve is very light. It is not super dramatic. Another great question one of you guys left in the comment was actually the height difference, as well as tilting. And so the maximum height you get from the floor is actually about 170 centimeters or 6.5 inches. With it compressed all the way to the lowest point possible, it comes out to be like 35 centimeters or 1.5 inches. So it actually does go really low height wise. It's about pushing its limits, I would say. The other thing I want to show off is the tilting. It is really dramatic this way. Not sure when you would do that, honestly. I don't know if you're gonna look down on it and it's tilting like that. But going the other direction is actually not that much. It really, you can see, there's not a whole lot of tilt on that. So if this was something that was up high and you're trying to, if you had it on a box or the arm stand or whatever, you were trying to tilt it down, it doesn't go very far. So if you really wanted a lot of downward tilting, you're going to need some kind of different mounting solution. But of course, what I would say and stand by, this is going to be your primary monitor because of its curvature and its 2K. So I didn't really notice or was bothered by the difference in the height or tilting, but that's just information for you to have. Another great question somebody had was this monitor versus the ASUS VG27AQ, which is actually in fact a flat IPS monitor. And they're wondering what the difference of the two were and if the curvature is better. And I was saying I prefer the curvature way more. I did get that Pacific monitor they were mentioning and try to test them out side by side, and the IPS does have better colors and whatnot, as I mentioned in my previous video. However, the curvature just won it. I just felt so more drawn into whenever I was gaming or even watching a movie or YouTube. And so that's what won the battle for me. But if you really care about those colors and the wide range of colors, I would go IPS. But if you're okay with the color range, and I was, this color range was pretty darn good, to be honest, then I would say if you enjoy the curvature experience, this is the best option for that. Forgot to get rid of this. Another question somebody had was about the speakers on this, and that was actually a really great question because I didn't mention that at all. The speakers are not great. They're really not the phenomenal sounding quality speakers. I am deaf and hard of hearing, so I can't really be I don't have like much of a objective opinion on this. However, I do know when I cranked this thing up to 100, it wasn't really that loud, and that's saying something. When I cranked my hearing aids up, this wasn't that loud. So if you were banking on using this just for the speakers, I wouldn't recommend it. There are headphone ports you can plug into here so that you can use the headphones instead. But if you're going to have speakers, I would say get your own system. Don't rely on the speakers of these to carry it through slash give you the quality that you're looking for. Finally, somebody asked this monitor versus the ASUS TUF Gaming VG27WQ. And there's actually a lot of follow-up comments in that little thread about that monitor versus this one. And I would say you kind of have to make your own call on that. The two of them are so close. I'll leave the links to the rting. Rting is a monitor review website that like go into scientific detail on the two monitors. And my response really was that it was a really close battle. I did order the two of them, and I went with Gigabyte mainly for the price because I was on a tight, like this was more in budget for me, and so the pricing is what changed it for me, as well as the boxing of the whole thing. I believe the boxing of this was a lot more well built. It was a much more enjoyable unboxing experience and reboxing experience. I did mention in my last video how much storage space there was if you're going to be moving your monitor back and forth. But if you don't care about the box of the monitor, you're opening it and throwing it away, that wouldn't be a factor. But the only reason I chose this one versus the ASUS TUF Gaming VG27WQ is simply because of pricing. I found them to be so close it was negligible. So for you, I would recommend looking at the deals if there are any, or if there's a specific brand that you would prefer, go with that. You're not really going to make a mistake there. Thank you guys so much for watching this part 2 of this video series. This was just to give you more information so that you can make an informed purchase on the Gigabyte 2K curved monitor. If you enjoy this, please do drop a like, and if you want more content like this, please do consider subscribing. And as always, if you have more questions, feel free to leave it in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And that's all. Thank you so much.